You guys can talk now while we wait for this part. Good job.
Good job. Thank you. Chairman, so you can begin.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this time, I would like to call to order the December 2025 business meeting of the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors. And we will start with the land acknowledgement and start with Mitch. We ask that you take a moment to stop what you are doing, to listen to these words as we recognize the land that we currently inhabit. No matter where each of us is physically located in Lincoln County, we must understand that we are on traditional homelands and unceded territory of Indigenous people. Where we live in Lincoln County, these are the ancestral homelands of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. Lincoln County School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consists of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. The Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre Siletz Coastal Reservation that covered land in what is now Tillamook, Lincoln, Benton, Marion, and Curtis counties. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians are and will forever be first stewards of this land, water, and fish.
We acknowledge and recognize the continued sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bringing awareness to their history and the existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time immemorial.
Thank you, Natalie and Mitch. And we will now go on to roll call and the establishment of a quorum. Before that, I'd like to read the statement. Oregon law prohibits discrimination in all public elementary and secondary schools that receive state funding, including discrimination based on perceived race, color, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, or national origin. All comments during our public board meetings will follow these policies. I would like to highlight two of these policies, AC, non-discrimination, and ACB, every student belongs, in regards to appropriate public comments. We will now do a roll call of board members. Dave Cowden. Present. Jason Malloy is excused for tonight's meeting. Mitch Parsons. Present. Natalie Schaefer.
Here.
And I am Peter Ritzy, so we do have a quorum. So to begin with, we are going to recess into a public hearing regarding the construction management general contracting process. The Lincoln County School District Board of Directors, acting in its capacity as the Lincoln County School District Local Contracting Board, will now conduct a public hearing to take testimony and findings for the exemption from competitive bidding requirements of public improvement contracts for the construction of auditoriums at Waldorf High School, Toledo Junior Senior High School, Taft 712, and Phase 2 of the Aquina New Elementary site in the upgrade, and I think Newport High School as well. Do we have any public comment on the construction of auditoriums at Waldorf, Toledo, Taft, Newport, and Phase 2 of the Aquina New Elementary seismic upgrade?
No comment cards were turned in. No public comment was submitted in writing.
Okay, so since there is no further comment, we will adjourn the public hearing and call the December 9th, 2025 regularly scheduled business meeting back to order. So moving on to introductions, and we will come back to those auditoriums later in the at the meeting. So moving on to introductions, we have Jason Hay from the Lincoln ESD. Thanks for coming, Jason.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Sorry about the weather for the day that you picked to come over here.
Full conditions, you know, makes it exciting. but I appreciate being here in person. So thank you, Chair, Betsy, the members of the board, Dr. Tolan, for welcoming me this evening. I don't have much of an agenda other than to just share a few things about our local service plan and the process that we go through. For many of you, this is not a new process, and so pretty easy for you to kind of see how we proceed. So in your board packet or your board book, you have an electronic copy of the proposed local service plan. This actually represents various changes to the one that you approved last year in February. We really only make significant changes to the local service plan every other year or on a biannual sort of basis. And so in terms of process, the governance of the local service plan is in ORS, in that our 12 superintendents are a governance structure that work with me to make changes to the local service plan. They actually vote and approve the plan, which Dr. Tolan, and along with her 11 colleagues, will hopefully vote yes on this plan on Friday when we have our next superintendent meeting. After they vote on the plan, then my own board, and I want to just thank all of you for your welcoming, and on behalf of my own LBL ESD board, just really appreciate being able to serve Lincoln County students. And the board member that represents your region is actually none other than Eddie Simonton. So he's our newest board member, so really appreciate getting to work with Eddie in a different capacity. So once my board approves the plan, then it can come up to all of you to vote on and approve the plan. So it's very likely the version that you see will be in front of you during your January or February board. So with that, just a couple of things to point out. If you look at page 7 of the plan, you'll see our board of directors. We have some new faces. So some of what's changed from last year to this year, really just minimal things like different pictures, different names and faces in here. So you can see Eddie's wonderful picture on page 7 there, representing Lincoln County well. And then if you look through the document, you see that it's organized on page 17. It articulates core services. So under ORS 334175, we are called to provide special education services, school improvement services, technology support services, and administrative services to all of our school districts, as well as we actually provide services to school districts outside of our region as well. But our plan is broken into tier 1 services, which every school district gets. And that plan, that tier 1 plan, is voted on by the superintendents. And then the budget on a yearly basis is also voted on by the superintendent. So that represents about $15.5 million of services that go out to all 12 of our districts. Our total budget at LBL is about $60 million, so we'll just give you a rough estimate of what that looks like. The next part of our services are comprised of tier 2 services, in which school districts get to choose from a menu and basically pick things that they want. And then the last part of the plan, if you flip further on, starting on page 53, just shows the grants that we administer, the largest of which is our EIECSE, so Early Intervention, Early Childhood Special Education Grant. And we actually provide those preschool services to special needs students on behalf of all of our school districts. And so you can kind of see the grants that come in primarily in special education. And at this point, I'll just pause and see if you have any questions. We have a busy agenda, and I just appreciate getting to be a part of just a little bit of it.
Any questions for Jason? We can get a list of tier 2 services that we're doing. We don't have detail about that.
Yep, we can do that.
That would be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
Jason, thanks for coming tonight.
Thank you so much.
Good luck on your drive back.
Yeah, I'll hang out for a little bit, and at some point we'll probably head out before it gets too late. Thank you.
So moving on to communications, I want to note that under communications that addresses board goal number 4, which is designed to strengthen community relationships through communication and engagement with staff, students, families, and community partners. I'm going to try and kind of keep track of what the goals, agenda items are dealing with. Eddie, do we have any written communication?
No written communication was submitted for the board.
Okay. So we'll go on to public comment from the audience, and I just like to read a statement here. And this time we will hear general public comment. As a reminder, board meetings are meetings of the board that are held in public. They are not public meetings in the sense of being open forums or town halls. Please note that public comment will be conducted in accordance with board policy BDDH, public comment at board meetings. Additionally, Oregon law prohibits discrimination in all public elementary and secondary schools, and this board is fully committed to upholding that law. During the public comment periods, audience members who have submitted a public comment card to the board secretary will have the opportunity to speak. While the board does not engage in discussion during public comment, it may ask clarifying questions when appropriate. The board chair reserves the right to set the speaking time as outlined in policy BDDH. For this meeting, individuals will have up to 3 minutes to speak. If a group is commenting on the same topic, a designated representative will need to be selected, and they may speak for up to 5 minutes. As a reminder, comments regarding individual district staff members or students will not be heard during public comment. In those cases, the board chair will direct speakers to follow the procedures outlined in board policy KL, public complaints, to submit a formal complaint. And Eddie, is there another blue card besides the one?
Just the one.
Okay, and so at this point, we'd like to have Claudia Rude come up and talk to us about OSBA elections. Thanks for coming, Claudia.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, the board for giving me a chance to speak again. This year's election is 15 boards that vote 2 of them stay, which are the community colleges. And this is the last one out of all 15 to actually cast their vote if you decide to vote. I'm happy with the results so far. I condensed my speech just a little bit. I just want to get out and visit with all boards at Region 10 and look for policy. Elevate all board members' voices at the OSBA level to include policy updates, establish new norms and customs by establishing a legislative outreach with the same legislators. Continue working with the Rural Caucus to establish Region 10 with a voice for the Rural Caucus. That's about it. Any questions?
Okay. Clyde, thanks again for making it all the way out here. I think we're scheduled to vote on item 11 for OSB rep, so that's going to be a little while.
I'll stick
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's move on to the recognition. And Dr. Tolman, any special recognitions for this last meeting?
We do. Is Department of School Principal Marty Perez here? Awesome. You can go ahead and be our first recognizer.
Thank you, Dr. Tolan and Abor. I'll just give you some preliminary unofficial statistics, but Casey Baxter was nominated in year 2 of teaching, and she was crowned Oregon Regional Teacher of the Year for LBL in her 3rd year. So it's an honor to introduce Casey Baxter to you all. I just wanted to say her career started at Newport Middle School in the year 2023. Started at Newport Middle School at the same time. She comes to the Newport Middle School team with tons of life and history and experience that just complement her work as special education teacher with perfection. She understands the urgency behind why high quality education is needed for her caseload. She is constantly in the cycle of improvement. She strives to get better each and every day. She's coachable, she's intelligent, and I would say most importantly, she's a mama bear that advocates with purpose for her students. And I'm going to open it up to Casey to say some things, but it's been an honor and a privilege to work alongside her expertise at Newport Middle School.
Thank you. I'm not very good at taking recognition, so bear with me on that. I never thought that 2.5 years ago I would get a call and these words would change my life. They were, Casey Baxter, what are you doing in the fall? And so I want to thank not only Marty Perez, but everybody in the school district, starting with Jenny Williams and Tiana DeVries, who believed in me enough to help me get my licensure, all the way to Marty believing in me to starting my career at Newport Middle. I can tell you that this has been one of the most rewarding parts of my career. I have started my career not realizing that I would ever end up teaching, and every day brings me a whirlwind of emotions and joy. This award, when I received it, was so humbling. I can't even tell you, there are no words to tell you how much it is. I'm not a very emotional person, and it actually brought me to tears. Mostly because it wasn't about me and what I do in the classroom, but it's really about the success of my students. This award was really about them. Every day, I do push them. I push them as if they're my own. I have one child, and I say that's only because, as those of us who have been educators know, it's because every day we have a lot of kids that are our own in the classroom. We take them on. I have a caseload right now, and every one of those kids are my own. I push them the same way, even though they're special education kids, I push them the same way and have them the same expectations that I hold my ninth grader. I hold their feet to the fire and expect them to do the same work that my ninth grader does. And so I think that's why this award became so powerful to me, is because of the fact that this is their award just as much as it is mine. The day that the banner was delivered to my classroom, those kids were so proud, and it was about them. It wasn't about me. And really, it said a lot. I'm very grateful again to this community, to the school board, to the schools, to the administrators who believe in me and believe in the work that I do. Because without it, these underserved, kids would not be able to do what they do. And every day I can tell you guys, if you step in my classroom, they do amazing things. And I want to see them succeed. And that's it. I treat them as my own. I hold them to that same standard that my ninth grader does. And it's amazing. So thank you guys for all you do. And thank you for believing in us. And thank you for believing in special education, because it is phenomenal to work with myself and all of the people in our department do. Thank you so much. And so thank you so much, Jill Scott, for believing in us as well and supporting us. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Casey. Thank you. I was privileged to be at the assembly when your award was announced, and I got to talk to your mom, and she was so proud. I can see that. Any comments, questions for Casey?
Thank you.
Okay.
And thank you guys for the work you do. Little known that my father served on the school board as chairman of the school board pretty much all of my education. And my mother was the business manager at Water School District for almost my entire education as well. And so I believe very firmly, I probably was destined to become a teacher, even though I fought it for most of my childhood and most of my adult life. It probably was written into my DNA somewhere. So thank you guys for all of your volunteering and all that you do. Appreciate you.
Keep the winning coming. If Brian Dresky can come up and give our second award.
Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm honored tonight to this is Michelle Petrell, to talk about Michelle a little bit. She recently received the Oregon Association of School Libraries District Teacher Librarian of the Year Award. There are 200 districts in the state, so she's better than all 199 of them. Yeah, she oversees 11 media centers in the district, and she has been a fierce advocate for student rights and for keeping a variety of relevant books for kids to read. She's had to battle some people in the community on keeping those books in libraries. I think we're very lucky to have her with that. What else do I want to say about Michelle? On a more personal note, I guess, I found myself being her supervisor after our district media assistant, a media specialist left. And I did the job for a little while, very poorly, and I encouraged Michelle to apply for it, and she did. And I was so grateful because she does way better than I do. But yeah, she's a product of the Grow Your Own program in the Lindsay County School District. And it's a huge achievement for us. We're so lucky to have her. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody here, and thank you to Brian. I worked here at San Pace. I was a media assistant for many years, and I loved my job. And I thought I would never leave one library because those babies were my babies. And then I got this opportunity to go back to school and become the first graduate in my family and have my dream job. So thank you so much, Brian, and thank you to all the people in the district office who believed in me. I love what I do. I tell people all the time, I won the job lottery. I get to work with kids and books, and I get to make sure that all of our students across the district have a good, solid education in their libraries and good support from the teachers and staff, and I'm really grateful. And I couldn't do that if I didn't work for a district that believed in me. So thank you. I got this award and I was shocked when I got it. I genuinely could not have done it without the support from Miley and her encouraging way of making me come and speak in front of all of you. And I don't know if you can tell, but this is terrifying. I don't know why, but we were all small children, middle schoolers, high schoolers. I'm fine, but adults are scary. I just thank you for all of that you do, because you deal with all the adults and I get to work with all the kids. And I appreciate that. So thank you to our school district, and especially thank you for all of the work that Jenny and Tona did to make it so that Grow Your Own was possible for me, because it was life-changing for my family. And for me, I had the best job ever. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. Reading in libraries and media centers. Fantastic that you're a product of our Grow Your Own program. That's just really awesome. Okay, thanks. Okay, move on to the report for the LCDA. We have Trevor and Jess here tonight. We saw Trevor earlier today.
Good evening, Janice Spencer, Lincoln County Education Association.
Trevor Stewart, Lincoln County Education Association Vice President.
Oh, yeah, I'm present. Sorry.
When was the last time we were both here at the same time? Had to be sometime, right?
Sounds about right. All right. So I just wanted to give a quick update on, from the union side, I spoke with Levi over at Electric the other day. We were having some concerns about the lighting that was supposed to be put in for, to meet the new contract and the new bond where we said that we wanted to have natural lighting in all classrooms. And spoke with Levi, everything's good, so we are very excited that that is now going to move forward. So our windowless classrooms will have broad spectrum lighting, so you could actually grow a plant in that room and grow a child. So we're very excited about that. And then Trevor's going to talk to you about our building director.
So annually, we hold a training for all of our building reps. This year we had a focus, we do the general like the duties of a building rep, yada, yada, yada. We had a focus this year on, how do we make sure that we have standing, meetings with our administrators in our buildings every month and what it look like. So just, with the intent of trying to better bridge communication gaps at all levels between teachers and administrators, and just continue to work together to solve the day-to-day issues so we can do the job of educating our children.
That's it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So we'll now move on to consultant reports, staff reports, and student reports. We're going to begin with the area report from Mark Doyle. What's that case?
Good evening. My name is Marcy Zora, principal of Santa Case, and I have my title of community versus South Panther. And so one of the things that I want to show you first is a big part, so that we always have that reminder of Santa Case is about people, and the heart of Santa Case is people and all the collaborating that we work on, from students to teachers, to advance everything that we need to do, especially for our children. And so we have two main goals that we're targeting that align to, work on attendance and graduation aligned to the board goals.
So our attendance goal is aligned with the district goal, and Santa Case will increase attendance of regular years by 5% each year, or reach and maintain 90%. Which will be measured by 90% of the students attending 90% of the time. And we talk to students about this regularly to try to help them understand what our goals are as well.
Our graduation goal, we have two graduation goals tonight. We're going to talk about the reading goal. We also have a math goal. And so by May 2025, 8% of the students in 3rd through 5th grade will demonstrate typical growth based on the Acadian pathways of progress. And that's really watching to make sure that they have adequate progress every month. And so what we're going to do is talk about, Nancy would be good here, our attendance and all the work that we're doing with that.
So really this slide is a representation of the growth that we have been making over the last few years with our attendance numbers. But more than that, what this slide represents is the care, culture, climate, and the human element that is foundational in our growth. So it's Cubs show up for one. That's what Cubs do. And we notice when individuals are missing, and individuals are celebrated upon their return, from students to staff. This goes from our weekly challenge assemblies, where all of our school is gathered here in the gym on Wednesday mornings, and we celebrate goals and meeting those goals, to our tiered MTSS meetings. Also, our area service coordinator reaching out to families and connecting them with the resources that they need to be successful. So it's all of these individual pieces of a team that build success. We have the systems in place, but without the human element and the care and concern, those systems are just systems. So really, it is founded in care. And the last thing is that this care and systems and our attendance rising and our behaviors are lower consistently over the last few years. We know these are going to direct positive impacts on academic engagement in the classroom. And we're in the business of, yes, educating students academically, but also educating their hearts. And so I think we're working towards that knowledge economy.
We've got foundation that really leads into our academic, and what we really believe is literacy is a foundation to every pursuit in the future. Literacy is really freedom. And so what we're working on every month is our adequate progress. Like I talked about from our attendance
pathway and progress. But this to really look at how are our students really being reading every single month. And so we also look at our at and above benchmark students to make sure we're not leaving anyone behind. And that group is to be 75% adequate progress at this time. Below benchmark or well below, we're looking 60% adequate progress. So our current status for adequate progress is 68%. So early December adequate progress data really shows encouraging momentum, yet we're not there yet. And so we have a lot of work, which leads us into our next step, because it still is a lot about people and our teacher collaboration. That is the key to our success. So we have job-embedded professional development that will continue, especially with our inquiry model and learning. So our job-embedded professional development, we've trained math specialists as well, but right now we're focusing on reading here. And so Jacqueline Moe, one of our third grade teachers, and our literacy specialist, Jillian Brenner, has been trained in the advanced word analysis skills, and that's our phonics strategies. And so what they're doing is being leaders and training everyone in the exact phonics routines that are necessary for that adequate growth to happen. And so they're, and the big piece of that, they have the voice, and that's leading us into our inquiry model of learning blocks. And so we've set up a team, and they're a big piece of that, where they open up their classroom on their own. They decided they want Mondays to be open house, or not open house, but open office, and they open for practice on specific strategies that will move our students. And so along with that, we created a very specific learning block, and it's based on the Japanese lesson design study. And so if you think of a medical team where we all come together and study something that's happening to someone, and we gather around and really study exactly what's happening, that's what that model does. And so what we did, we started it last week, and so we, Jacqueline and Jillian trained everyone again in a very specific part of the lesson that was really necessary for student engagement and fun to move things forward. And then we had substitutes, and what every grade level teacher did was come out of their classroom, and we went one at a time into each of their classrooms. And they demonstrated that part of the lesson. So we started with Jacqueline, and then they would observe the student engagement and the exact focus area in which they were looking for. So it took about 5 to 7 minutes. And then we'd come out as that medical and educational team, and we would debrief with that teacher, what were the requirements, what were the successes, and that brought about powerful discussions on next steps. And at the very end of that time, every grade level then got new next steps that they wanted to move forward with for professional development and learn exactly what they needed. So then we're doing that on Wednesday for this professional development, and then also Julie and Jacqueline are going to go back in on their own this week and check and see how everyone's doing and see what else we need as well. So that's a big piece of that, and so it aligns to the explicit instruction that are the high effect strategies that will move our leaders. But also the biggest piece of that is the student goal setting that we also do. Students are a big part of the learning. And so that intellectual engagement must be on the students. So along with us looking at what teachers are doing, we're looking at what students are doing. Because that side by side, that is where achievement will grow. And then that aligns with our data-driven PLCs. That all goes into our multi-tiered support system for reading, and it leads right into the PD that we need for continuing to advance our readers, our focused data analysis on the specific phonics areas that they need, but also targeted instruction or the intensification that's needed for each child comes out of those meetings and our learning walks. And in turn, we can move students faster through groups and ensure that they need enrichment or do they need gap filling. So those are the things we're continuing with every day. So that's all we have right now, except for we have an amazing teacher who embodies a lot of the things that we do here, integrates reading, science, and math, and 2 amazing teachers. The teacher is Debbie Lynn, and then 2 amazing students. And we have Revan Harvey, and we have Lori Bixler, and they're going to show you some different things and share some things that they've been learning about. But I didn't know if you had any questions for us before. Good?
So, happy holidays, and keeping tradition, I'd like to honor school board members with a touch of holiday spirit. Normally I'd dress up like an elf or for those of you that have done different things, so this year I have my students, we've done social emotional learning, they have a focus of generosity. So we have hand-decorated ornaments as a thank you for your time and hard work with the school district. So we appreciate you, and this is your present for this year. So I'm part of the literacy and science adoption team. I've been working to integrate the new curriculum. 3 things that I love about our new literacy adoption. First, we have interactive books, and I'll have them bring a Bible show you as well when we get done with that. And so with that, students are actually able to annotate, highlight, and write in the book. So each week we have 2 key concepts, one of which is underlined and the other is highlighted in the text. The students work with the concepts throughout the week. And the second thing I love is have a nice variety of lots of different genres that the students are exposed to. Another part is that it works great with the technology. You've already seen some of that. The reading adoption has a digital practice. They have digital assessments of the concepts, as well as they have an individual-based aspect called success method. So if you want to see the books, can you go to the books? And also the grades with our science curriculum. And so we are currently on a unit of adaptations, which on the screen you can see that with our Discovery Science textbook, adoption that we've done, and it has lessons that are connected. So there are many discussion questions and videos, another part of the science program that we're implementing.
Every week we do a story, for example, we're doing baseball. It's a story about a guy named Zenny. He was a kid. And every week we would write all these alphabet. And then we would go to a new story. Right now, as of this point, we're writing the story about echidnas. Yeah.
Let me ask a question here. For the next, so are you?
We're highlighting the stuff because it says highlight evidence that includes the mental summary to clarify your understanding. So we're clarifying how these connect to signals. We're trying to get information about it. So the highlighted one is all the information, the text that was found.
Okay.
And then there'll be different questions for these. Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then after the stories, like platypus,
Yeah, always have the story.
yeah, there'd be questions, facts. That's how we do our stuff.
Okay, cool.
Like a lesson like stuff for your fourth grade. Right now, we're really close to finishing that. The story of what the kid does. You also hear the stories as they highlight evidence that included in that testimony to clarify the understanding. Basically saying how, what a kid does, and then all the highlighted part is how what a kid is like soft. And they have a need for the not understand one of the many stuff they say in the text.
Thank you. So as you saw, the adaptations, we're studying echidnas, and so the whole unit we're talking about is adaptation and science. So the second part of our science program is our nature journaling, our observational journaling. So students, if they come and show you that while I'm talking about it. So students use pictures, numbers, and words to collect data and notes to support their ideas and learning. And Kona, thanks to, they were so generous and kind in donating and providing these amazing bound journals to use, but any people will work for journaling. So what I have done is integrated, and we'll talk about it with others.
There's sometimes, this is supposed to be voodoo, whatever's inside. Like, I notice, I wonder to write what we learned. And then very recently, we have started to like do classification.
Okay.
The birds, the fish, put it in it, write all about it, like what are them, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians.
Very good.
We're in the work of animal classifications. Before animal classification, we used to do continents.
Okay.
So we already finished it.
Geography and this is biology.
Yes. And now here, we got a book from the one that I showed you. They're talking about feathers, and we had to draw a sketch, describe it, and basically talk
Nice
about
job
it.
on that.
Good job. So from the book, you can see what they've done. If you want to say your lines, they took over, which is great. Why don't you read what you wrote?
I like to read nature journal because it's fun to draw the details and what I'm seeing and get to read which one of things up close. And it's really fun to nature journal. And it ties into the book that we're reading because there's a story about feathers and about a study about feathers. The main reason why nature journals are important is because whenever you read, whatever you read, you know like forget there too. That's what me, and then but if you write it down, if you forget, you always forget that. Another reason why I like nature journaling, I think it's really important for school, is that you can observe whatever you see, write it down, and take notes of it. And also recently, I've really learned science. Normally, things that could review or do responses to the videos is really not that fun. You didn't have to make effort. But here, you have to think about it, which is the one reason I learned about science and making things. Right now, at the time I'm talking right now, we're working on animal classifications. Before that, we used to work on continents. Now we're on animal classifications. Would include mammals, reptiles, amphibians, arthropods, fish, and birds.
So other questions? Otherwise, you can see that we really love our nature journaling and science and literacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gwen, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I think I can speak for all the board members that we love kids sharing their learning and their excitement about learning. I think it's really awesome. That's the bottom line of things. It's really, really incredible. Any questions for?
I just have a comment. I've been working with Debbie Nguyen at Yakima Nature Preserve Center for almost 4 years, and she was one of the very first teachers in her work that we put together. So she's a phenomenal teacher, and I know we saw evidence of that tonight. So I just want to say thank you, Debbie, for the work you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, same to you. Okay, moving on to the financial report. Kim, you're up. Hard to follow kids.
With financial.
Updated financial report as we were reporting. First, we will note that we received nearly $38 million of carbon taxes last fall, local revenue and part of the state's government. The blue figures are amounts that I adjusted because either because we received that money in November and it had been listed in November. So for the property taxes, I reduced that. And I think that we received about 82%. You'll see on the next page that that's higher than we had anticipated in our projections, but it's likely just tiny difference. So I reduced that so that we're not overstated for the year. And we see how it goes for the remainder of the year. Yellow cells represent amounts that were corrected in payroll for projects that our facilities and maintenance staff did on projects. So we moved those expenditures from 125 to 425 funds. And then on the end, we'll note that I've added a column again for year-to-year differences. So November to November, we're getting 30.8 students. But compared to what I budgeted, we're actually at 7.7, so we have lost 2 students this year. That's what I anticipated. So that's good. I also wanted to note that I did update all my projections for the year. I found there was an error in the spreadsheet I used for those projections, and so those are updated on the sheet, and you'll note that on the next sheet. The general comparison. Specifically, you see the expenditure line of the salaries and employee benefits just looked normal to me. They were, the difference was quite higher than I had anticipated. I knew we were being paid correctly, so I knew I needed to go back and look at those projections and did update that. Do you have any questions about that? So you'll see we did get an additional $2.7 million over what we had estimated for local taxes, but again, I think that's a tiny difference. We also received our clients with them, colors. And state timber was up quite a bit. Purchase services. Purchase services is pretty stable for the month. Comparatively, we want to share questions for that. On the special revenue funds, I just want to remind you that the ones with the asterisks are reimbursement grants where we expend funds and then are reimbursed for those later. So negative fund balances are money in those funds. On page 5. The Awesome grant is not listed in there yet as far as a budget. That's because we haven't signed grant agreement yet. We have to tell them which projects we're going to ask for reimbursement for. And we've got, I believe, 9 months from the DPSO plan, which is in August, to get that happening to start spending the funds. And then we have 36 months to actually spend those funds. So we'll see that soon. Those things are 25,000 for just our monthly contracted services.
Just to go back for clarification, Kim, on the Awesome grant, that was something that we applied for before the bond election.
Yes.
Right? And it was contingent on the passage of the bond. So it was excellent work. Really appreciate it.
On the investment report, you'll see our additions to our investment account of $5 million. We did end up being over the limit or allowed in LGIP, which is about $63 million. We were at about $68 million. So I contacted Piper Sandler and we purchased some additional T-bills with our general obligation bond funds, reserve funds that just got interest until we need to make those payments. So those will mature slightly before those payments are due.
rather than investing. I looked at rates for local banks, they were all under 3%, and they started declining as Joe noticed at the bottom of this report, even at Oregon Coast Bank, they're giving us 1.2%, well above what everybody else is getting for the market, even above what they did get. We're getting about 3.6% on the bonds. And, sorry, the two bills that we purchased.
Okay.
And that's fixed rate. So rather than keep on, we've got a fixed rate on this.
Because who knows what's
So
going
you'll
to
see that on next month's investment report. Questions about that?
Any questions?
Okay, I've got one reports. You can see we've updated the budget from last month, we had about 17 million in budget, and we're just taking on several more projects, and we added the budget in. And we've spent about $5 million, another 3.3 converted this, and left to spend on 5 projects. Bonds, bills and claims over 25,000. The bond rate, their increase in investor service, that should have been paid when we sold our bonds, but they sent it to the email address from our business manager, and so we never got it. So that's why we're a little like getting that paid. And then you can see there's some work for the tax factor on our stage. Any questions about those expenditures? And the investments report, you see that we moved $11 million from our LGIP account to OPP, the excess we had there, and moved it into the Oregon Coast banking market account. Very similar on that. Questions about those? The next item is, normally we would have our auditors present our annual financial statements in December. We are normally required to have those to ODE by January 2nd. If we don't have them, then we don't actually school fund payment for that month. However, because of the federal shutdown, the auditors, the federal government did not release the regulations the auditors go by to conduct a single audit. And that's on all federal programs that are over $750,000. That was recently released, and we gave everybody an extension to February 2nd. And so you can see that report back to January. Questions?
I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'd like to hear from Food Services, oral report. Jamie and Patty and Scott. Awesome.
Good evening, Jeannie Nicholson, Foundation Program Manager. I would like to proudly introduce you to Scott Barber. He is our new district school garden coordinator, and he works under the Nutrition Services umbrella. And we are very, very, very excited to have him here. Because Arona, Sarah Dixon is here until she left in September. So we're excited to have Scott. He actually worked with our interns over the summer in the garden and helped build the hoop house at Toledo High School. So we saw him in action a little bit before he came on, and we were very happy with the process. This month we got questions, and I love that. I love it. So because one of the questions is around Scott's expertise, I will let him go ahead.
Okay, so the question is from Mr. Vincent, and I appreciate the question. I'm going to read it here for everybody. I specifically love this first sentence. I found info on school gardens fascinating. I knew about cover crops, but I didn't know anything about insectaries and buffer strips. are our students learning about these concepts through developing our school gardens? So, in short, yes, the students are learning about cover crops, insectaries, and buffer strips. Just a brief explanation about what those are. Cover crops are crops that are grown over bare soil when we're not producing crops. They can add nitrogen to soil, organic matter, and keep the soil from compacting from the rain, which we are having a lot of the past few days. Insectaries are beneficial habitats that house insects that can be predators to pest insects. So they're integral to our integrated pest management strategies for the gardens. And then buffer strips act as, kind of filters for any kind of runoff, anything that runs into our school gardens. And they also kind of trap weed seeds as they're tumbling through space. They get caught up in these kind of taller growing zones. And so hopefully we can cut down on our weed mitigation. So what we're doing is an ecological approach to agriculture, and we're hoping to expose as many students as possible to this. And we're developing a diverse, balanced ecosystem that hopefully can serve as a laboratory for ecological classes, laboratory for creative writing, certainly nature journaling, we're very excited about. And we're hoping to build a kind of a source of community pride. And when I say we, I'm talking certainly me and our partners. EXO has been a great partner. We have tons of great partners. And everybody I talked to about the school gardens is super excited about it. Everybody wants to know more about it. So I am very happy that we get this question and we can talk a little bit about school gardens. So thank you.
Great.
The other questions that we had, Peter asked about federal cutbacks for local sources of food. So in the first round of cuts that we had under the administration, they cut the local foods for schools. That was one of the first ones out of the gate. And so the initial allocation that we had received prior year was about $30,000. For a district like us, that's a lot of money for food services. That buys a lot of local beef or fish or something like that. And so we were not very happy about that cut. The state, however, continued with their program, their farm to school non-competitive allocation. And so we were able to still purchase some of those local foods, and we're being very strategic about that. The way we used it this year is they didn't allocate as much money out the door because a lot of schools weren't utilizing their funds and they left a lot on the table. And so what they've done is the initial allocation is a little less, but I can apply the funds over and over. So we've almost spent all our money already. We received about 1,200 pounds of frozen beef yesterday, which is fantastic. They literally drove it from the harvest to our warehouse, which is super exciting. And so we'll be very strategic about the way we manage the funds to make them go as long and as far as possible so we can continue to get those high quality foods in our meals. We're also being very strategic with our school gardens. We work closely with a nonprofit, Burlington County, and she helps us with grants. And so we're going for a competitive grant through ODE. We're also applying for one for USDA. And so what we hope to do long term, which has been our goal the whole time, is to be able to grow as much of the food as we can as possible in our school gardens.
Yes.
Because we don't have the option to buy from local farms. I don't have a farm here, but I can get medicine, things like that. So we're being strategic in the way we apply for those, to help our fund, kind of fill gaps where we do have them. So hopefully, fingers crossed, those all come up. Patty and I are continuing to support better foods in schools. So if you asked about Local Week, Patty and I were asked to go to Portland to Local Week, which is a kind of a food vendor show, but it's for people who started kind of in their garages, right? So these are people from all different cultures. It's fascinating to hear their stories and learn about their cultures and the different things they bring to the table. And the gap that's there right now is how do you get those foods into schools, because we have so many regulations that we have to follow. And so the Department of Agriculture asks Patty to go to talk to these vendors to explain what a lost space they're losing. A normal restaurant, let's say they serve 3,000 meals in the summer, maybe 1,000 in the winter. We serve 4,200 meals a day year round, like a lot of meals, right? And so the benefit to these mom and pop places, if they can meet our things, is amazing for not only our community, but for our kids. And so we got to do that. And then Peter asked about Central Coast Food Web. So Central Coast Food Web, located on the Bay Road here in Newport, is sort of a co-op of local fisheries and producers. It's open to the public, and you can go online and you can order boxes of different fishes. They have this beautiful processing center there. It's a wonderful facility. So they help us. They kind of do our legwork for us almost. We tell them our requirements, what we'll need, how we need things processed, what sizes, and then they go out into the community and find those people for us. So they connect us to Gibson Farms, Hooper Creek Farms. I think we're connected with 3 fishers now through them as well. So instead of just going to one big box tuna place, we can hit those small boats and affect more people across our community. So if you haven't had an opportunity, go online and look at their website. It's fantastic. They are very wonderful people. They have is it a sea urchin farm there as well? I don't foresee us doing sea urchins anytime soon, but it's very fascinating stuff. And then, just with the whole local foods, Sodexo has been, on the corporate level, has been pushing a lot for farm to school and what they can do to make their business better and be kind of the leading out the gate for food service management companies, because that's what's unique about our situation is that we have food service management companies and we're doing these things. And so Patty, if you want to talk about what you did.
Yeah, Friday afternoon, about 4:30 after being up forever, getting on planes, I was allowed, Sodexo sent me to the National Farmers Cafeteria Conference in New Mexico. It was an amazing week-long, intense, how to do local procurement, how to, really everything. It was just, there was so much, that had it packed in your brain. One of the things, though, that really brought home to me was the fact that really we are, in some respects, on the forefront of the things that we're doing in Lincoln County. And as far as I am concerned, and our staff is concerned, we're on the right path of bringing more local products in, doing more semi-scratch to scratched out cooking, and moving away from processed foods, which after COVID, we had in our sector of the school district had our fill of everything that could be plastic wrapped or whatever. And it also brought home, when I took it back to Sodexo corporate, is that they're now starting to listen, where in the past it wasn't, I would just get shut down at the procurement level in Sodexo world. And now I have been I'm kind of like the squeaky wheel. Don't tell me I can't do something, because that's not going to work for me. And so I've actually been elevated up to almost the senior vice president of procurement on how we can make this work. And have pretty much told them, regardless of Sodexo, Lincoln County will make it work. And so that's our goal on our level, but Sodexo is starting to listen. But we're a huge corporation worldwide. I try to tell everybody it moves really, really slow. But we're getting there, every day that I have a conversation with somebody in Sodexo world that's listening is a step in the right direction. Jay and I were both asked to go to Phoenix Talent School District and show them how we run our program here. and they're also a Sodexo client company. And so they're modeling, we're working and helping them model their food service program after what we do in Lincoln County. So it's exciting, and it's just a step in the right direction of where we're going.
Let me just say, interrupt anyone, that this is exactly what we're trying to achieve with our board goal 4, which is, like I mentioned before, strengthening community relationships through communication and engagement. And what better way than with food? That's really fantastic.
Part of my Sodexo team, we helped for the Homey House Friendsgiving night, we helped cook meals for that. And that's also our goal is community involvement. It's always been Sodexo's, we need to be out in the community. I think shortly, I'm hoping to check around soon, we received a $1,000 scholarship grant again from Sodexo for the backpack program and our school food pantry, so.
I'm so glad to hear that you're connected to Homey House. Tyler Watkins just has made that happen. And teacher at Toledo High School, and just serving some real important needs in East County for sure.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we do have written reports from First Custodial Services and our board. So let's move on to board reports. Natalie, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you. Yes, I have had the pleasure of doing my very first turkey bingo in Toledo a couple of weeks ago. That was a delight and very educational. And then I had a meeting with Kim Fisher, who was generous with her time and helped me explain things. Now I read that budget and I understand what I'm looking at. And then, because I work in Yukon and we're in the classroom a lot, I was in Newport High School's Wolfgang's Tilana's class. We did a career presentation to sophomores. And then was also here at San Pace in Adam Galen's class. Last Friday, we planted goldenrod for Yukon, and they're coming out in February and planting in the field. So, been a busy couple of weeks.
Wow, Mitch. I don't have anything to add. Okay, and Dave?
I had the privilege of participating with Challenge Day at Walport High School a few weeks ago. My wife joined me. We were both very impressed with the program, and I think it's it has a lot of validity to share that with all the schools in the district. It was a very moving situation. If you're not familiar with the program, you might investigate it because part of the program was that crossed the line. I don't know if you're familiar with that situation where you put everybody on one side of the room and then you say, have you or somebody you know ever? And there's some pretty heavy duty subjects that came up. And they asked students and adults, and my wife and I both actually crossed the line a couple of times, and the facilitator told us afterwards, she said, I wish you could have noticed the faces on some of the students when they saw the adults crossing the line as well. And it was very moving. I had to wipe away a few tears. There were a lot of kids that had to wipe away tears. A couple of them were almost too embarrassed to cross the line. But it was very meaningful, and I think it went a long way to demonstrating in the student community there that, hey, I didn't know you were dealing with that. You didn't know I was dealing with what I was dealing with, and it just, I think it went a long way to bring a common bond with students, with all the things that they deal with in their lives and growing up. And also went to the middle school band concert, the fall concert, and looking forward to the high school concert tomorrow night. So that's been what I've been up to. I've enjoyed all of it.
Great, I'm glad you get into the school. That challenge day sounds really interesting and significant, yeah. I also went to Turkey Bingo, and I went to the play at Toledo High School. I think it's the title, Everything I Learned by Being in a Bad Play. Sounds not very exciting as a title, but the kids were so engaged in it, and they had such a great time with it. I went Saturday night, there were about 75 people in the audience. It was really awesome. And I'm going to go to the band concert Thursday night, I think, at Toledo High. So it's good to get into the schools. There's just so much that's happening. It's really awesome. All right, let's move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Tolan, you're up.
Okay, so the one pager continuous improvement plan data is in your folder. Some of the questions that I had about that: when would Acadian's iReady Reading and iReady Math be updated? And those are benchmark updates. And so the next one will be in January. So you'll see it in February. That would show up on this report. And then the SBAC one down at the bottom, that will never change until next school year. That's a summative assessment that we take in April, May, that we don't get published results until quite a bit later. I've noted on here that our 9th grade on track projection, which changes every month based on behavior, attendance, and grades. It's a cumulative score for that. We're down 3% projection. It's November or December. This was November data, so we'll still be okay there. Graduation projection is 76%. Remember, that one's interesting. We'll talk about it when I give the LPGT report. That one is current year students. That doesn't mean that will be our 4-year graduation rate or 5-year completer rate, but that's of the kids who are currently enrolled to date. We did have a few more exclusions this year, or this last month. Down at the very bottom, and we're talking about community connection. Sam Case spoke about that today. Family night attendance is up 4%, but that 4% is up from August when we had open house. So as we're tracking our family and community engagement, we're noticing that although a number of events are happening in all of our schools, we aren't broadening our reach of families that are coming in. So we need to look at other ways, and coming to the school isn't the only way to engage families. So what are other ways that we can make those connections and make that engagement? And then last night, the equity team reviewed our conference attendance data to help us come up with some additional data points that we want to be tracking, and our admin team will be reviewing that in January after we break out our conference attendance data demographically. So that's update on the SIP. The next one, I could draw your attention to your month, School Board Appreciation Month. Whereas school boards create a vision for what students should know and be able to do. Whereas school boards establish clear standards for student performance. Whereas school boards ensure that student assessments are tied to established standards. Whereas school boards are accountable to the community for operating schools that support student achievement. Whereas school boards align school district resources to ensure that students meet standards. Where school boards create a climate that supports the philosophy that all children can learn at high levels. Where school boards build collaborative relationships based on trust, teamwork, and shared accountability. And where school boards are committed to continuous education and training on issues related to student achievement. Now, therefore, we hereby declare our appreciation to the members of the Lincoln County School Board and proclaim the month of January to be School Board Recognition Month. We urge all citizens to join us in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members in preparing today's students for tomorrow's world.
Thank you very much.
We wanted to do it early because we tend to do it at the end. So now everyone can prepare that in January we will be recognizing our school board during School Board Recognition Month. So thank you for all that you do. And it is good when you look at the declaration to see what your 4 goals are and where they all fit into the things that you're doing on a regular basis. So it's much appreciated. The last thing I have on here is to give you an update on the longitudinal performance growth targets. And so Kim and I spoke to you last month, and when we spoke to you, we were looking at kind of a recap about how it had gone. And then Eddie and I were looking at things that we needed to turn in since we've taken over this position from Sheila Hagan and Susan Van Loo, and realized that this month we're supposed to show you where we're going next. So next year, we're gonna do those at the same presentation, but because I didn't do it that way, we need to show you what we're working on at this point with those growth targets. So the state sets our annual growth targets, and they're actually projected out. So we can tell you what the state thinks we need to grow at a 5-year time block. They look at 9th grade on track, they look at graduation rate, 3rd grade ELA, and then our regular attenders. Remember, those are students who attend school 90% of the time. And they do it in a 5-year projection. Those are different than the goals that we set. So I'll show you that part in a moment. We need to be giving you reports throughout the school year, and then one summative report when we turn it into the state. And then in the new accountability legislation, there will be additional metrics that are going to be added to that. Some of those will be local. We're already reporting to you on our local metrics. We started doing that this year. We use Acadience iReady, and then we're using SBAC interim at the secondary level. We don't know what those measures will be because the state is going to give us a list of 4 to choose from, and that list has not been released yet. So again, we have to go through the annual reports, and we give that information to you, and we give that information to the state. We need to present that information in an open meeting like we did last month, like we're doing right here, and then post a report to the district. Charter schools post it on their website. We have ours throughout our board folder, so that's where ours gets posted. And then these are set by the state in year 1 and year 2, and so we continue to report, and then year 2 is when we give the narrative, which is what you already saw. But here's where our goals are for this year. So our 4-year cohort rate is, the goal set by the state is 89%. Our goal is 90% in Lincoln County. The 23-24 rate was 82.1. That's what gets reported in our last report card. So the state likes to slowly release results throughout the year. In probably January, Vince, I would say. In January, we will actually release what our graduation rate was last year that we just had. So we're kind of like a year and a half behind in a sense. The 82.1 is what they based our report card information off of. So our strategies for improvement on that are continuing work with professional learning communities, and graduation rate starts in kindergarten. It's not just a senior rate. And so we're looking at that on a K-12 continuum, and then our AVID instructional strategies. Board Chair Vinci asked me about how training is going for AVID. Currently, 64% of Lincoln County School District teachers have received formal AVID training based on our 24-25 report. That number would be low because we had additional teachers that went last year, but you don't report AVID data until the following year. We went off of what has actually been reported. And then I should say 100%, sorry, 100% of Lincoln County School District administrators have received formal AVID training. That does not mean they haven't received training though. When we hire teachers, they get a lot more training about WIPR strategies and what AVID is. So, and our principals are using it in staff meetings, and our teachers are using it consistently throughout class. You can be AVID trained and not be AVID trained on top of it. AVID is best practice instructional strategies. It's a framework that puts that all in one place. Just so you know what the 4-year cohort rate is, it's the last known school attended. If the last known school attended is LCSD, they're in our 4-year cohort rate. So if a student went here their junior year and then they say, we're moving, and they leave, but we don't get a records request for them, they're in our 4-year cohort rate. They don't go anywhere else. If they say, I'm leaving, I'm going to someone that's not us, Nestucca, and we get a records request from Nestucca, they're Nestucca's grad rate. They don't stay our grad rate. So it's probably a more positive way of talking about a dropout rate, honestly. And then the transfer to LCSD school and attending us at the end of 4 years, regardless of when they come to us, they are in our 4-year cohort. So if a student comes credit deficient their senior year, and they need 12 credits to graduate, and they can't mathematically make that happen, even though they've never been in the Lincoln County School District system, they're in the state's 4-year cohort system, and they're accounted for where they're currently enrolled, which would be a Lincoln County student. That's why that number, even though I'm showing you a graduation rate, that is not the 4-year cohort rate that would end up getting reported later. The 5-year cohort rate is more like a completer rate. So those are students that maybe needed to take a little bit more time. What's that number going to look like? So that number ends up becoming higher. The percent goal is higher because we're adding to it with our students that would move in to get, or move in with us so that we can get them to graduation. Our 9th grade on track, we've been tracking that for at least 8 years in Lincoln County. Our goal is 93.5% set by the state. Our 23-24 rate was 87%. Our 24-25 rate was 85.9%. We have gotten up as high as 90, and 93 will be something that we definitely are striving for in that process. 3rd grade ELA proficiency, the 4-year cohort goal by the state is 39%. I would say that Lincoln County does not set a goal of 39%. We would want more of our students than 39% reading, and we are not there. So 23-24, we were 32%, 24-25, we were at 30% for K-5, 29.7% for 3rd grade. And then 44% of 4th graders this year entered at a proficient level when they started the year. So it's really interesting when you're looking at a state summative assessment that you're basing it off of, and when you're looking at progress monitoring data, none of which is where we would want it to be, but we are tracking that and looking to see what that looks like. And then again, the benchmarks to watch for you to be able to see progress monitoring that is September, January, and May. SBAC results, or SBAC is taken in April and May. And then our regular attenders, the state has a goal for us to be 58.9% this year in a regular attendance rate. In 23-24, we were at 59.7%. And then in 24-25, you can see the grade band breakdown. K-5 was 62.2, 6-8 was 62.2, 9-12 was 61.7. So even though we beat the goal last year, the state has predetermined the goal. So the goal is still under where we were. There you have it. Our goal is we want 90% of our students to attend school 90% of the time or more. We're currently at 67.6%. And I just want to call out the work of Natalia Aguilar and what she is doing with the assistant principals and really working on what that attendance rate will look like. We also have the equity team analyze our attendance data. Natalia's been a part of a 2-year cohort through the National Superintendents Association and the Oregon Administrators Association. And she's really done incredible work with Vince and with Katie of helping us really understand what a regular attender is, how we're tracking attendance, how we're notifying families, how we're working within our community to improve that attendance rate. So thank you to both of them, 3 of them, counting Katie, for all of the work that they have been doing. Some celebrations: Wellport Middle, TAF 712, Newport Middle, and Newport High all exited targeted improvement status. Targeted improvement status is when you have 1 or more, 2 or more groups identified. So maybe it's students in poverty and multiracial, might be 2 groups. If they are underperforming in academic or attendance, then you could get put into a targeted improvement status. If all of your groups, or almost all of your groups, are missing, then they would put you in a comprehensive improvement status. You can also go into comprehensive improvement status because you're in targeted improvement status and you don't get out on time. So then they say, okay, now you're comprehensive, even though it might still be the same groups or populations. And even if it's not the same kids anymore because they've moved on, it follows that group, not necessarily the students. Newport High was recognized as a promising practices. Lincoln County was recognized as the district, but Newport High specifically with promising practices for its work in improving status with students in multiple groups. So especially students experiencing homelessness, they were able to exit improvement status. We have new schools in improvement status. Toledo Elementary is now entering improvement status. Toledo Junior Senior High School, Eddyville Charter, and Siletz Valley Charter are all in improvement status. And Compass is actually in improvement status, and will not be able to get out of it. So Vince is working on that with the state because we don't serve high school students in there anymore. And we've told them that, but we don't have the ability to demonstrate that we're better because they don't exist. So we have to figure out, I thought we had it figured out last year with the state. They thought we had it figured out. We don't have it figured out. So that's why there's an asterisk there. Unless we can figure it out, they'll be back next year without any students in their program. So
Like divided by 0.
yes. So what will happen now with the schools that are identified, they will meet with their directors, with myself, and come up with targeted improvement plans. The specialists will work with them as well. I will look with community partners, any care teams, social workers to see how we can better support. We do not know what the funding looks like, and they identified us now, but there's no support until next school year. So I just want you to be aware that we know we have areas of need of improvement, and we're not waiting until 26, 27 to start working to improve in those areas. But that's when our improvement status actually starts. So we'll know in January, we think, how much money we get. Any questions on that?
Any questions?
No.
Okay.
All right. I think that's all I had.
I did have one sort of minor question. We have LPGT. There's also LOM. What's LOM?
You think we know all the acronyms?
I don't have.
I will find it for you.
Okay, it's probably something that is I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was really happy when I learned what LPGT is. And I don't generally call it that, so.
Okay.
I'm sorry that I don't have it, Peter, but I'll have it for you.
Okay, no worries, not a good thing. Thank you, Dr. Troy. Okay, let's move on to the adoption of the consent calendar, which includes items that we designate to be adopted in a single motion. So that's what we're going to do right now, and they include the minutes of the previous meeting and board personnel action and the budget calendar and the policy update on family medical leave. So the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar as published. Okay. In the December 2025 board agenda. Do I have a motion? So moved. Okay. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved by David County and seconded by Mitch Parsons to approve the consent calendar as published in the December board agenda. Any further discussion? Don't expect to hear any. Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it 4-0. Consent calendar is approved. So now we're going to go on to action items. And the first one is business services, and really we have a little bit of a change. I don't know if you want to talk about it, Kim, before I start.
About it now. So we are required to present the assigned grant agreement to you. Their wording said the board needs to approve it, but then they came back and told me, no, you don't need to approve it. So I'm going to leave it up to you. I just signed the grant agreement already, as well as the MOU with Eddieville. We did have a change that they required us to make figure out the use of the indirect, where we charge them indirect on their portion of the grant. That's the reason for the amendment.
Okay. I think we'll just go ahead and put it in the
Yeah, so I'll just take the notes in the discussion section of the minutes, and then when Kim turns them into ODE, it will reflect that she presented you with the agreements for both Lincoln County School District and Eddyville Charter.
Fantastic.
And no need to approve it.
That'll work then? Okay, great, thank you. Okay. So let's move on to facilities and maintenance. So we have the approval of the construction manager general contractor process, also known as CMGC, and that was what we had in public hearing about audit items. So Rich, can you give us some?
Yeah, so it allows us to do a CMGC process construction manager, general contractor, and then we'll put out an RFP and ask for contractors that ask for, to want to do our work, and then we'll review those on the 8th of January, 7th of January, and then we will select firms to give proposals to us on the 9th. And the hope is that on your next board meeting in January, we'll bring to you contractors for all three auditoriums and your point of view for your approval.
That would be so exciting to get going on that.
Things are really going to heat up. Yeah, it'll start slow and it'll just hopefully go fast, and hopefully in the RFP it talks about what the budget is. Hopefully that doesn't scare anybody away. You know, and then you just don't know. But they talk to the architects. They've had people call them and ask them, when's it coming out? How come we haven't seen it?
Oh, wow.
And I've heard from some contractors that there's very little to bid on right now for some of the bigger contractors, which makes us think that we might get somebody, a big firm that comes in and say, we want to do all three of them. And that might be really good. You got to go with them on, you know, $10 to $13 million locally. There's not a lot of people who can do that.
Right.
So more than likely they're going to be out of town people, but hopefully we can encourage them to use our local contractors. Yeah, and we say that in the RFP, so we're going to be listening that hopefully we hear.
Yeah, I won't tell you how many people are asking me when they're going to be done.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what my answer is.
Well, I started out with this and I said it's going to be done. No, we'll do a lot faster, but so far I haven't been very successful in speeding up the process. But this is still a place where I can push a little bit more. And when we start talking to people, that's one of the questions we'll be asked. You know, when can you start? You know, what's your process for getting this done?
Okay, any questions for Rich? Okay, so after conducting the public hearing and hearing no comment, the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the findings of fact in support of an exemption from competitive bidding for the construction of auditoriums at Walport High School, Toledo Junior Senior High School, and it's Newport High School, and phase 2 of the Clinton Elementary seismic upgrade. Do I have a motion?
So.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Natalie, and a second?
Second.
That was David. Okay, so it has been moved by Natalie Schaefer and seconded by David Calvin to approve the findings of fact in support of an exemption from competitive bidding for the construction of auditoriums at Walport High School, Toledo Junior Senior High, Newport High School, and phase 2 of the Clinton View Elementary site upgrade. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. Ayes have it 4-0. The CMGC process is approved.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to the draft for the natural hazard mitigation plan renewal. The board heard from safety coordinator Sue Craig at the November meeting, where she presented the natural hazard mitigation plan for approval. The chair will now entertain a motion to adopt LCSG resolution number 2025/26-03, approving the Lincoln County School District representation in the updates to the Lincoln County multi-jurisdictional natural hazards mitigation plan. That was a mouthful. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved by Mitch Parsons and seconded by Natalie Schaefer to approve resolution number 2025/26-03. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. Ayes have it 4-0. Resolution is adopted. And Rich, if you want to talk to us a little bit about stage lighting at TAF 712.
Yes, so we're asking for approval for stage lighting at high school for Ultrasonic. They're one of our vendors that we approved
Right, I remember that.
And so this is for sound and lighting, at that.
Okay, so the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the purchase of lighting equipment and the estimated cost of $77,306 as published in the board folder. Do I have a motion? So moved. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved by Mitch Parsons and seconded by Dave Cowden to approve the purchase of lighting equipment at the estimated cost of $77,306 as published in the board folder. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, 4 to none. The purchase is approved. So, the Taft Elementary, I've seen the photos. Rich, I want to get up there and take a look at that, because that was, what's that?
Stop by tomorrow.
Oh, great idea.
Yeah, so we got 3 proposals. Elk Ridge Construction was low, 99. It's quite a bit of difference between them and number 2. But Elk Ridge also did our forestry building, the Taft High. Okay, they know what they're doing. They're living in City. A real calm, they can do it. And fall goes well. So when you look at it, if you guys vote for it, I think they're going to start.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Not that I'm chicken.
And any estimated time of completion this year?
Yeah, this year, we're looking, it'd be nice if it's done by the first of April.
Oh, wow.
We have some things that have to come through for us. Because we're so close, when you see it, the foundation, we're so close, we're 2.5 feet away from the gym. We're about 3 feet away from a little office at Taft Elementary, and we're about at one corner, and we're about 2.5 feet away, and the other corner of the cafeteria. So because we're so close, we could have came in 10 feet every way around, but then it made the building, a third smaller. Yeah. So because we're doing that, we have to bring it to a 1-hour fire rated wall, which means all the glass has to be fire rated. The doors have to be fire rated, and we have to put 2 layers of sheetrock on the outside of the building before the siding, and 2 layers of sheetrock on the inside and on the ceiling. So the construction costs a little bit more, but it's going to give us about 2,800 square feet of music where they had 1,500 feet before. Yeah. Really, that 1,500 feet was about, it was about
for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any questions for Rich? The chair will now entertain a motion to approve Elk Ridge Services, the lowest bidder, for the labor of framing the Taft Elementary music roof on an existing foundation in the estimated cost of $99,828 as published in the board folder. Do I have a motion? So moved. And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I mentioned mid-beach there. So it has been moved by Dave Cowden and seconded by Mitch Parsons to approve outreach services for the labor cost of framing the Taft Elementary music room. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion, those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. 4 to none.
Thank you.
Ridge Services is approved. Okay. And we're going to move on to the OSP elections for the board of directors candidates. We have Clyde Rubin, whom we heard from earlier, and Lily White there. And we will have ballots in front of us. But does anyone want to speak to either of the candidates?
Well, I'll say that I have really appreciated that Mr. Rid has come to all these meetings. And I also acknowledge the abilities like.
Yeah, and I went over the resumes, and I really appreciated Clyde's work as a sports official. He's been involved with students, his military background. I really like that you stressed communication. And for Lulu White there, I think her strengths are she really understands the OSBA. Again, she's strong in communication And she advocated for special ed funding limits, those funding limits being eliminated. So we know that they only reimburse us for 11%, and districts are 11, 15 to 17%. I'm imagining more in that same range, which is, you know, pay for the needs. Yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's go ahead and the other one is single candidate for the legislative policy committee is Jason Curtis. So, don't need to say very much about him. Okay. So if you want to pass your ballots down this way, we'll give it to Eddie, and he will tally them all up. All right, Eddie, as the board clerk, will you please report the results of this?
Under 11C1I on the board's agenda, it will be the vote of the Lincoln County School Board to select Lahui White Bear as their choice for position 10 on the OSBA Board of Directors. Under 9A1II on the board's agenda, it will be the vote of the Lincoln County School Board to select Jason Curtis as their choice for the position 10 on the OSBA Legislative Policy Committee. I will submit these results to OSBA on behalf of the board before the December 15th deadline.
Thank you. And Clyde, appreciate your commitment to education, the youth and Oregon. You're making a difference. Appreciate that. Let's move on to information and discussion. Starting with teaching and learning, we're going to hear from the district implementation team.
Yes, so the district implementation team is a byproduct of district comprehensive improvement status 9 years ago. When we were identified 9 years ago, 8 years ago, when Dr. Gray came in, we had a coach from the Oregon Department of Education, and through improvement science, one of the things that was talked about was having a larger body that's looking at improvement data and improvement planning. And we were talking as a district implementation team at the beginning of the year that group has been meeting 3 to 4 times a year for 8 years and has never talked to the Lincoln County School District Board about what it is that they do and what their purpose is. So my plan as part of the SIP and data transparency is to have this group come twice a year and give an update on what they're doing and who they are. So Director Baloney, or Assistant Superintendent Baloney, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, Deputy Superintendent, so with student services, you can have these guys introduce themselves real quick before we start.
I'm Becca Bosford, principal at Euclid Elementary School.
Dominic, down at Waldport High School.
Right, so today we're going to talk about the district implementation team, and probably more from a structure standpoint than from exactly what the details of what we're doing. And when we started talking about this presentation, we looked at the district implementation team, how we're going to go about this, and it's very difficult to summarize this because it's a one piece of such a larger process that we do with our district for all around improvement. So I'm going to go ahead and so first of all, the implementation team is really designed to review our district's progress and in our continuous improvement plan. So that's really what we're looking at. It's our goals and so we. I think you can think of it as a check-in really in the health of where we are as a district, and we're really taking data from the schools and we're combining that into a larger piece of data that we can look at as a district-wide component. So this team is made up of building administrators, teachers, and district administrators, and so every school has a presentation in the room, and we're currently meeting 3 times a year. So we meet fall, we meet in the winter, and we'll meet again in the spring. And really part of our purpose, there's a huge alignment purpose, and you see that you can't see our presentation, but we have a thread there, and you'll see that there's a thread to what we're going to present today. It's connected, from the district level to the school level, building level, and into the classroom. That's what we're hoping to portray.
Really alignment, communication, we want to make sure that everybody in the room, that all of our buildings and our schools are all on the same page. Our teachers are transparency is a big piece of that too. We want to be really clear and open and focused on what we believe will help us move forward as a district. That's really important that we have all those people in the room that they can bring that back to their buildings. So we're really looking at that district continuous improvement plan through this process. And Mike was talking a little bit about the history, so I won't go into great detail, but I was a part of the very first meeting where we sat down and looked at what we had in place as our district. And I think I only got invited because I was the only middle school principal at the time. But in 2018, we looked at this Oregon Integrated Systems Framework, which we'll call ORIS, and it's really the health and status of the district, and we were not very good. Just to be really honest, we were good at HR, so good job. But in other places we struggled, it was a real eye-opener for us at that time. And so this team's been in place throughout that time to really take a look at and review and continue to, really align our goals so that we can get better in our districts for teaching and learning. It is still in place and we are still leading, which is great. Let's see. And, you see the next photo we have on here is, of the global view, right? So that's really where the district implementation team is that we're really looking at combining data, from all of our schools that gives us this district-wide perspective of where we're at. And it's both outcome data and implementation data. The outcome data is going to be things like test scores, and implementation data is going to be things more like, programs or processes that we're trying to get in place. So when we meet together, we're going to analyze that data, and we're typically going to pick a focus area. So we might look at attendance or behavior or test scores or some other kind of program implementation as a focus of that meeting. And that information will go back to buildings, and they'll talk about that in just a second. And then we will, from time to time, and I think we've been doing it about every 2 years, we'll go back and complete the ORIS again, which is that health of the district process. And I got to be a part of that the last time we did it too, and it was very telling that we were making progress in the improvement of the systems and processes that will make us a better district.
Microphone here. So on a building level, we completed the SIP, S-I-P, the school improvement plan, at our building level. We did that 3 times a year as well. And we're looking at those same areas that we were looking at the district level on the school level. So we're grading ourselves. All of our teachers are sitting in a room, and we're collaborating on where are we at, looking at different indicators and different school data around instructional improvement, wellness and belonging, and community connections. We submit that to the district office, who then looks at it at the global level. And then when you start to zoom in a little bit further at the school level, then we're looking at that data to really determine what are our school goals. So then we use that within our leadership team to create a school goal around the level of improvement. So for example, at our school, we've been really focusing this year on reading instruction. So looking at the instructional improvement area, then we're zoning in on the data around differentiated instruction, small group instruction. So we're really zoning in, and then all of our professional development, we're really using that to have that common thread for our professional development is all going to be around reading instruction and embedding that small group instruction and differentiated reading instruction throughout the year for teachers. So sounds like we might also need to do a little work around implementing, we're excited this year to implement a new science curriculum, as we heard from our last friend, the mystery science is something he did not appreciate. So we're excited with the new science curriculum, but again, building in that reading instruction throughout the
So from a classroom perspective, I'm a teacher at Walport High School. The way that we works at a building level for a teacher is the first thing is that's our principal. We have during our Wednesday professional development meetings, we'll look over the district improvement plan and focusing on the 3 goals of instructional improvement, community connections, and wellness. And we'll take surveys of staff to see where we're at as a building on that. And then we break it down and we focus on specific goals like the district goals. So you have a building goal, which for example at Walport High School this year, is exit strategies, because we found that if students could restate and describe what they've learned during the class period, first of all, they retain it better, and also it's a measure for us as teachers as to whether they're retaining the information or not. So that's a building goal that we have to improve our instruction. And then we break down into our PLCs, and a lot of us have had the professional learning community training, and we'll break down into individual cohorts within our building. So I went arts and social studies, and our area of improvement is we're working on supporting evidence for claims. So if we're measuring, and the way we do that and create teacher efficacy is we have teachers observe other teachers, and they see what's working in their classrooms, what can be improved on, etc. And we dovetail that because we are 7 through 12. So what our 7th grade language arts instructor does as far as evidence for claims and reasoning and supporting evidence is going to look a lot different than what I do for my juniors. And we observe each other, learn how to get better. And it's a real, we use we have professional learning communities at the start. We each have a head person. So like I'm the head of ours, and Heather Grill's the head of the math. And we think about how we can get the most out of our staff and to reach those district goals. And then it's kind of like a rain cycle to keep your science team going. When we get down to the bottom of the stream, then we go back, because with the DIT meeting, we meet 3 times a year. So we'll come to our second meeting, and we'll have that new data to share with the group. And it's just a continual improvement process.
Dominic said that pretty well. What I was going to close with is that it really is a cycle. You know, we're looking at where we are at the end of the school year, making plans for improvement, checking out where our progress is in the fall. You know, changing not necessarily changing course, but focusing on course and looking again in the winter to see where we're at. So grading ourselves, constant improvement, and what we look at the district level, what we look at the building level, and when we're working on the classroom level, are all very aligned and very focused. And so I think that that's work that has been, that the district implementation team and the administrators and teachers have done, and it's been really good over the last couple of years. In this, and so we had a difficult time deciding what to say and what not to say, because we could really get in the weeds really fast.
I appreciate your organizational presentation, but I'm wondering if, just in my own mind, if it doesn't start with the building block on the PLC, it kind of goes up from there. I know that the district sets goals, but we got to witness your Walpole High School and PLC and how you guys worked. I really appreciated that, and I think that's very exciting. And you guys are having fantastic results. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's actually fun to like try to figure out ways, like, because the district goals are so clearly identified. So like even with the community connections piece, hearing Miley's talk about how it doesn't need to be in person. When we have our meeting tomorrow, we have our staff meeting tomorrow, I'm gonna come up with a new idea. But we've been so busy trying to get people into the building, parents and community members, but I'm just thinking that we maybe need to start creating a way for those that can't get into the building, some kind of online presence or something like that. So it's just something to think about. So it's always a state of improvement.
Well, we appreciate your presentation, and you said that they're going to come back at
the end of the year.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to you about that later. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks. Okay. Business services.
She took care of that.
She took care of that, so we'll just move on to the
peer grant.
Peer grant, yes. So Richard got some information about that for us.
Yes, so you guys know that we got a grant for Tap High, and Newport Lake, the generator is big enough to run the whole school in case of emergency. And they've actually paid for those generators in advance. They're ordered. They're like 10 months out, so it's forever, but we're in the process. So in the process of doing ours, when we did our original proposal to them, we thought we were gonna have to build a building for the generator tap and one for Newport Middle. When we actually, because we did our estimates ourselves without spending a lot of money, because we're cheap. And,
Safe to say, that's approval,
yeah. So, in doing that, we came in substantially under budget. So talking with Sue Gray, she says, well, why don't we ask for more? And I said, okay. So she went back to him and said that, we'd like to do it. So then we discussed, well, what would we do? What would we do? Well, my first thought was, let's do it in Walport. And then we discussed it. The Walport's a lot bigger because we got a 4,000 gallon tank, diesel tank down there that runs the school and runs the generator. But we want to get rid of that and we want to get a 10,000 gallon above ground tank. And we got a lot of environmental, so it was going to be too much money. And so then she said, what's next? And I said, well, why don't we put one at Toledo High? We'll build a building where the playground was for the boomer students, and then we can just dig across the street to the boiler room, and that's where the main power comes in, and it fit right in there. And so then we went and got prices, again, for generators, and we priced the generator halfway in between Newport Middle's and Taft's, figured it someplace in the middle, and came up with a budget of possibly $500,000. And they came back and said, well, if you do all the paperwork, which then brings Kim and her team in, financially wise, and doing all the paperwork that they need to do. So we're in the process of doing that. Something could happen because of the grant, you don't know, but it's really exciting that we could end up with 3 of our schools, that would have power in case of an emergency throughout. So we'd have, to get, the next one would be obviously to try figuring out how we can get the ball. So it's pretty exciting, a lot of work, but take time to see if the fruition of that's what's going on there. And then the second thing I've got is that we're going out for bids for getting plans together for the Point of View and Ocean Lakes Playship. There's another one in the process, Taft Elementary, but it's a little bit behind because of some geological and ways we have to do with some water. We got to have more information, but so we're in the process now of bidding those 2 out and hopefully bring back a bidder and get your approval at the next meeting in January. So, and realistically, they won't start till someone by the time you guys approve it, the vendor gives the plans, they go to the cities for the process, but hopefully by the time they start school September 1, we'll have 2 places.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Yeah, it's, on paper, it works really well.
Okay, and we did see the interactive displays in operation with Debbie Glenn. Ryan, did you want to add anything to?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Just have some new information to share with you. We had originally planned to rip off the interactive display to purchase and install until year 2 of bond spending. But with the vendor that we're going to use, with the reseller we're going to use, that's OETC, they have installers who are willing to warehouse the displays. So that's 300 gigantic displays. We can't have them here, but they can warehouse them for us if we buy them now. And then we can shorten our timeline on installing them and get started sooner and finish faster. So it's a great option. I came today to ask you if we could consider for the next meeting to do a motion to purchase the displays. They're under $3,000 each. We need to buy 300 of them, so we're looking at $900,000. I don't have an exact estimate on the install yet because I still need to go visit every single classroom and put a piece of paper, this yellow paper I have on the teaching wall. And after I do that, the administrators in the district and facilities department and the rest of the tech department will go around and all decide, yes, that's the wall we want to put it on. And then
I will do a site walk with the reseller and the vendor, the installers in January, where we'll go and walk every single classroom again, and they'll be able to give you a very accurate number for how much it's gonna cost. But we think it's gonna be around 500 classrooms or about 145,000 when it's all said and done. I don't need to spend that money yet, but I do need to ask if we provide displays sooner than later. The reason for the rush also is that technology prices are going up rapidly, so we would save money if we buy this store.
And what's the timeline for complete install for the 279 classrooms?
I think that we can get a good chunk of them done over the summer.
Okay.
But the installers work in a way where they can come down and work at nighttime and also over the weekend and breaks we have, so it's very flexible. They come down as a team with their trailers and sleep here and sleep during the day and install at night. So I don't have an exact timeline, but I think we could be well on our way this time next year.
So then the next step really is professional development for them.
Yes. As you saw today, we can put one of those on the wall where there's a projector and nobody would know the difference. The touch features and the wireless connecting and all that stuff, that takes a little bit of training, so we're gonna have to plan that as well.
It seems like you've got an expert here.
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes, very quick, Debbie, she comes up with all the questions we need to answer before we put those on everyone else's walls.
He's fantastic.
Yep.
Okay, anything else for Brian? I would have loved to have one of those.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. And that's, thank you so much. And we don't have any additional public comments, so we'll move on to meeting takeaways. Anybody want to start, Dave?
I'm excited for the students in this district. There will be infrastructure improvements, programs have been established, and as I think I mentioned to Dr. Tolan a week or two back, makes me want to go back to high school. So I'm really excited and glad to be a part of this school district and this board to facilitate what's going to be in front of these kids as they go through the school district. It's very impressive. Thank you.
Natalie?
Yeah, so I was sitting here tonight listening to all of the data analysis that's going on, and my doctorate is in learning analytics, so I'm super excited to understand just how far ahead of the curve this district is in using the analytics to improve classroom instruction and student success. So thank you all for what you do.
Hey, Mitch.
Not just from this meeting, I've been here almost a year now. I'm just, I'm just excited every meeting to see how many happy, genuine, kind people we have working in our schools. If you're not in the schools often, a lot of times people like to talk a lot, and there's a lot of stuff online that people just aren't seeing. And I get to tell people how great some of these people are and see that change in them, like, hey, maybe I haven't been thinking about this right. Maybe it's not that person, maybe it's a policy, maybe my kid's not giving me the full story, whatever it might be. There's always a little something. And to be on this board and be able to be that go-between of what the district is really trying to do is been really good, really good.
For me, I really appreciate the movement towards transparency and data sharing. I think that's really information that the board needs to hear and understand. So I think that's really essential for us. And Riven, is that your boy? What's the name?
Rivan.
Rivan. It was so good. How could you not just want to be connected to him all the time? Yeah, so those are my takeaways. So for reminders, no work session in December. And winter break is the 22nd to January 2nd. And then our next board meeting will be at Uquetta View. Is that right?
It is.
Okay. Somebody knows. Okay, and that will be on the 13th. So with that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hey, the reason why I made that sound, I just Googled it really quick, it was local metric.
Oh.
And I talked about local metric being added, and so I was like, dang it, I knew that answer.
Well, I didn't see it,
Yeah.
in the parentheses anyway.
Yeah.
I got that down.
Yeah, we're back to everything.